My name is Fleischer-Ambrus, and I'm representing the EU delegation. And in short, the EU delegation represents the European Union as a whole. So we stand for all the EU institutions, namely the European External Action Service, the European Commission, and also the European Parliament, which has a separate office in our building. Physically, we are at Smith Square here in London. The delegation is structured a little bit like an embassy. So it has different sections. And one of the sections is dealing with issues which concern citizens more closely. And this section is very much involved in monitoring the implementation of Part 2 of the withdrawal agreement, which is about EU citizens. But of course, we are also very much interested to follow what is happening to all EU citizens who might not be covered by the withdrawal agreement. We have been having this function for some time now. Our previous reiteration was a commission office before Brexit. And as soon as discussions on citizens were launched as part of the negotiations on the withdrawal agreement, we started to take on a new function, unfortunately, and that related to coordination. So this is one of our key roles here, is to monitor and coordinate, primarily coordinate with our member states' embassies. So how does this whole thing work? We have regular meetings with all member states' embassies, and we also invite after-country embassies every month. After which we regularly have a meeting at technical level with the Home Office on the implementation of Part 2 of the withdrawal agreement. And in addition to that, every second month, and this is, I think, where some of you are also sitting regularly, we also facilitate a group which is called EU Citizens Monitoring Network. So that is a group which includes all the embassies, but also representatives of some 50+ NGOs, where we discuss issues which are pertinent to our citizens, primarily about the withdrawal agreement. And the idea is that we monitor for systemic problems, so that we can, together with the embassies, when we have our monthly meeting with the Home Office, we can go and talk about these issues. This entire exchange taking place here feeds our colleagues in Brussels, because you may well know that the withdrawal agreement also established a formal channel of discussions on implementation between the EU and the UK. So in the area of EU citizens, it's called the Specialized Committee for Citizens' Rights, which now convenes 3 times a year. And there it is my colleagues from the European Commission who steer that discussion. And of course, whatever is happening here with our coordination and whatever issues come up, our colleagues will learn about this. And so in a simple way, if we are unable to find very pragmatic solutions here on the ground, then the issues make it to the specialized committee, where we start to have a more formal discussion with the UK, hoping that the problems will be resolved. And of course, there are also mechanisms, legal mechanisms available if we end up being stuck politically. So this is how, in a nutshell, this coordination function operates. We also have a communication and outreach role. Since the beginning of times for the EU settlement scheme, we have set up a contract with Serafus, and Chris Desira is in this meeting as well. And in the context of that, we provide some services to organizations and local communities such as yourselves. This includes information sessions and advice surgeries. I'm happy to talk more about those if there's an interest. Basically, what we do is the EU is paying for Serafus to provide information, and where possible also to limited degree advice to organizations, also to citizens directly. And they also assist the work of embassies and consulates with more complicated and complex issues. In the past, we have done many of the town hall-like information sessions where we have invited 50, 100 citizens to attend in person. Over the pandemic, these have moved online. We are now hoping that we might be able to revisit the idea of in-person meetings. And there's also the possibility to book for one-on-one consultations with citizens. Here, we will ask organizations to help scheduling these meetings so that Serafus could attend and specifically help those individuals who are vulnerable and who need qualified advice. Of course, it is not possible for Serafus to take on this role to represent citizens in the long run. So these are more like one-offs, but in some of the cases, it could mean substantial help. In addition to all of this, we also try and run social media campaigns. So if you look at our Facebook account and Twitter account, you will find a lot of materials there. We like to do videos or posts. We also produced in the past and continue to do so print materials, leaflets in all EU languages. And generally, we have a special group under the monitoring network, which is meeting every month to just discuss outreach and communication. Some of you are there as well. So this is a specific function that we have in addition to coordination. And then, of course, we are very much interested, but here we are able to do less ourselves in any research which is ongoing about EU citizens and how, what's the state of play for citizens on the ground. So here we are looking to partner with organizations who are able to do research in general. Moving a bit further away from strictly speaking citizens' rights, there's currently another function that we are, let's say, developing, which is to go beyond the EU settlement scheme and try to assist the network of organizations who either represent or work with EU citizens in whatever context. And to do that, we are thinking about setting up, we're thinking about setting up some kind of a semester for each year that would begin possibly with some kind of a gathering in the autumn and would sort of finish around Europe Day, because apart from the lot of negativity which has been produced by Brexit, we feel that it's also very important to now start to focus on the positive side of what it means to be an EU citizen in the UK, what it means to have certain attachments to Europe and the European project. So this is something that in the future we would like to collaborate on with a number of organizations. It will complement what we do on EU citizens' rights.